Hello everyone and welcome to this video. My name is Michaela. I am a mom to two. I am also 32 weeks pregnant with number 3, and while I normally do cleaning videos and mom videos, mom life and cleaning motivation, I decided that since I do live out in the country and I do things like this on a regular basis, that I would show you guys how I am putting away my pumpkin and the apples that I was given this fall. So I'm going to start off with this pumpkin. I just used a natural wash for this pumpkin to get the outside clean because I knew that with steaming it, I wanted the outside to be as clean as possible, because even though I'm not keeping that part, it will be kind of in the mix as far as while I am cooking it. So I wanted to make sure that was really clean. And then I'm going to be slicing and dicing and cooking that, and I will show you guys exactly how I do that. So I know that right now a lot of pumpkin patches are now closed, but a lot of you probably went to a pumpkin patch or an orchard or something during the fall. And so since I did that too, I wanted to just show you how I deal with the things that I get from there instead of just throwing them away. I normally end up cooking and freezing the pumpkin and most any fruit or harvest that I get any time of the year. And so if you guys would like to make use of the things that you got as well, just keep on watching and I'll show you how I do it. This pumpkin had a lot of good usable meat in it. That's why it was so hard to cut open. You could also keep the seeds, but I don't personally do that. I just find that it's kind of just annoying to deal with as far as cooking them, but you could do that. And I'm sure there are plenty of videos on how to harvest and bake the seeds however you like them. You can do them sweet or salty. So obviously I just started out with cutting off the top and then cutting it in half so that I could get to the insides. I didn't make sure that all of that stringy stuff was totally out because I can do that a little bit later after it's cooked, but I was making sure that most of it was out and that all the seeds were out as well. And then I will go in and slice it into more manageable sections so that I can steam it or cook it, and it will be easier to handle later on when I'm actually taking that meat out. I just like to use a large pot and put the steamer or strainer attachment in there as well and fill up the bottom where there is a gap. I don't like to actually boil the pumpkin, but I do like to steam it in this way. And when there's this much pumpkin and this large of a pumpkin, it took pretty much all day to cook it, so I just put it on high and then I turned it down to medium later on, and then I moved on to the apples while that was cooking. So for the apples, I had this basket and this bag. The basket is a little bit older and I should have done something with it sooner. I knew that I was going to have to throw quite a few of them out, but this bag here, all of those ones were really good. So obviously, whenever you're putting things away and dealing with stuff, there's a lot of cleanup. So I made sure to clean as I went so it wouldn't get too sticky. If you don't have one of these handy dandy apple corer, peeler, slicers, and you have a lot of apples to deal with, I would recommend getting one. They are so worth it. And you can use them just for a few apples for apple pie, or if you're doing a bunch of them like I was, it made everything go so much faster. I had it on my table for a little while, but it wasn't really working out that way, so I went and put it on my counter after a few apples, and it worked a lot better that way, especially tightening it down a lot better. It wasn't getting super tight on the table. But this just makes quick work of apples, and you can use it on lots of other things as well, but I mainly use it on apples. And if I can find one, I will link it down below. Like I said, it just makes quick work. So this was probably the most satisfying thing that I did during this day. So I'm just gonna let some relaxing music play and let you guys watch these apples get peeled, cored, and sliced all at the same time for just a few minutes. Once that part was done, of course, I'm going to be cleaning up as I go again, and then I am going to be making sure that all of that core got out of there, slicing them into slightly smaller pieces for making apple pies or different things. I will probably make some applesauce eventually out of some of these, but for right now, I'm just going to be cutting them into smaller pieces and then freezing them. Before I freeze them, I just put them into a cold water bath with a little bit of lemon juice to keep them from browning, and this worked extremely well. They were already turning just a little bit brown from being out in the air, and this made a huge difference immediately. I could see that the ones that I'd put in the bath were instantly lighter than the ones that were sitting out. I let them drain as well before freezing them. And of course, like I said, there is lots of cleanup whenever you are putting things away, so I am going to be washing these as I go so they don't get too terribly sticky. For putting these in the freezer, I just made sure that I had a 4-cup measure there. I put 4 cups into a gallon freezer bag, made sure to mark it with what it was and the date, and I just kind of eyeballed about how many I would need at first and made sure to go on the low side so I didn't mark a bag that I wasn't going to use. You can see my kids just were chowing down on the apples. They love them. They are homegrown and they tasted really good. But with this many, it was really good to get them in the freezer so I could use them for other things later too. All in all, that was about 30 cups. It made 7 4-cup freezer bags, plus however much was left over when I was done, plus however much me and the kids ate as well. That evening, after the pumpkin had cooked for quite some time, it was nice and soft and ready to be put away in the freezer bags as well. So I just started by pulling it all out and letting it cool off until it was manageable. I did pour a little bit of cold water over it at first to cool it to where I could get it out. I'm just going to be putting the last of that pumpkin in there to cook for that night as well. I did not get to that second big pumpkin until a few days later. It was just so much to cook and my pot was only so big. So when I had that all done and going again, I made sure to mark a few bags and then put the pumpkin in there while my kids were over here snacking on bacon. What are you guys eating? Bacon. To get the meat out of this, I just pulled apart a few pieces that were hand manageable, used a spoon to scoop out the meat, and then discarded the skin. This is a super simple process and it makes for the absolute best pumpkin pie, pumpkin muffins, pumpkin bread, anything. It's so much better than canned. If you have pumpkins available to you or you've already gotten some this fall, I would highly recommend you cook them and freeze them for baking with later on. It just tastes so much better. I just used a napkin holder here to hold open the bag. It didn't work the best on these little quart-sized bags, but it worked a lot better than trying to hold it open myself. Squeezed out all the air, and I did that with the apples too, squeezed out as much air as I could, and squished it flat so that it could freeze better, and then I could stack them in my freezer as well. You could also lay these out flat on a cookie sheet and let them freeze a few at a time, but I just did not have the freezer space for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already and turn your notification bell on for cleaning motivation and mom life videos in the future.